All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've taken a little detour away from our AppInventor2, Create Your Own Android Apps by Wolber, Abelson, Spertus, and Looney to work on our own copy, our own version of the Magic8Ball program. So far, we've built the interface, and we put in the code. We created two global variables, answers, and answers will be what's going to basically appear in the ball here. We're going to change that image into one of the other 15 images here. All right, so that's that. And we also have a variable called image number. And that image number we're going to build using a join, so it'll be, looking at it here, it will be one of these. Here. All right, so that's where we left off last time. And so we added our initialized routine. I'm not going to bring that up again. But I've got my choice now. Do I want to do the hard one first or the easy one first? And I've decided to do the easy one first. So my click event for my reset button, well, the first thing I want to do is whenever I reset it, I want it to go back to this original image. So I want to make sure that that happens. Okay? So how do I do that? Well, I want to set the image. So there's my Magic8Ball. I want to set the image, or I guess it's set picture. All right, and we want to set that literally to 0.png. Now I can run this, but the reset button is grayed out at the beginning, so it's not going to look any different. When I run the program, what I want to have happen, just so you're aware of this in advance, so when I ask my question and click the submit button, I want this right here, this thing that says ask your question, I want that to go away. I want this right here, which is our area for our answer. I want that to go away. And I want this to change. So if I say, will I be rich? I want this to come back and say, absolutely. All right. So that's what we're working toward. All right. So when I click reset, then I want these all to come back. So I want that to come back, and I want that to come back. And I want the submit button to be enabled and the reset button to be disabled because I've just done a reset. So let's put in all of that code right now. All right, so I want my label ask questions below, I want it to be visible. And I'll make it invisible in my next routine. So I want that to be visible. Nope, not false. Oh, I can put it in there. Click the down arrow and choose true. All right. So I've reset my image picture and I've reset my label. Then I want the text box also to be visible. I want my reset button to be enabled. I want the reset button's enabled property to be set to false. And I want the submit button, its enabled property to be set to true. Now, I really should have done the other one first because I can't check this. So I'm going to put this off. I am going to disable it for now. Oops, I didn't want to make a copy. I want to disable this. And we'll bring it back up in just a couple minutes. Let's do the last button here, which is our submit button. That's not the one I want either. There we go. So when we submit, the first thing I did was I wrote another routine. So I wrote a procedure here that was called, curiously enough, question submitted. All right. And what I wanted to do was, now I've clicked the button, so I want to be able to again set the image that you see in here. I don't want it to say 8. I want it to give me my answer using one of those 15 images that we talked about before. Oops. All right, so it's just one line. I want to set my global image number, and I want to set it to another routine. So I'm going to write yet another routine in here. This one's going to actually return me something. So this is going to, the result will be, remember that if I go back into my control here, no, my math, that's right. I can generate a random integer that's between 1 and 100. Now you may or may not have heard this before, but putting that in there, that is going to generate a random image. But typically I will not get 100. All right? The way that this usually works. Well, we'll try it. We'll leave it like that. But I'm going to change that 100. So I can either remove it and put in another block, or I can just click on it. Let's put 15 in here. All right? So that's going to return a random integer from 1 to 15. And that's what we're going to set our global image number to, is that. So we're going to set this equal to generate random number. Oh, I didn't change the name yet, so let's change that right now. So that's generate random number. All right? So I will set this to that. So again, I want you to understand. So right here, the first thing I want to do is I want to put a call in here. And I want to call question submitted. There's more stuff I'm going to do. So I click the submit button. It calls question submitted. Question submitted is going to set my global image number to a random number between 1 and 15. All right? That's good. So that's going to mean that I'm going to call question submitted, and it's going to have a number between 1 and 15. Then the next thing that I want to do is I want to set the picture to that accordingly. So I want to set the picture to what? Well, I'm going to do a join in here. And the first thing I'm going to put in here is get global image number. And I want to join that with, so that'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And I want to join that with .png. So let's play computer here. I click the submit button. It calls questions submitted, which is going to basically generate a random number between 1 and 15, set my global image number to that, so this now holds the number 1 to 15, and my picture will now hold that number .png. All right. Now I want to go and I want to grab my, I've got to blank out a bunch of stuff. Before I present the answer, I want to blank out this, and I want to blank out this, and I want this button to now be disabled and that button to be enabled. So those are the 4 things that I want to do. And then when I get done, I want to call the play method for my sound component, because remember, that is connected to the da sound. All right. So I'm going to have a bunch of sets in here. First thing I want to do is I want to set that label, ask the questions below. I want to take its visible property and set that to false. Now I'm going to run out of room here, so I'm going to drag this over to here, and I'm going to drag this down to here, and hopefully now I'll have enough room. Next, we want to set our text box question, and again, we want to set that also to false. All All right, next, we want to set our reset button. We want to enable that. Well, let's do the other one. The submit button we just submitted, so we'll set its enabled property again to false. And then finally, we'll take our reset button and set that enabled property to true. And we'll call our sound1.play. And believe it or not, we're done. So again, please play computer. Best way to learn this stuff. All right. I click the submit button. It calls questions submitted, which is going to give me a global image number between 1 and 15. I will concatenate that global image number from 1 to 15 with a .png on the end. And I will set the picture for the image for the Magic8Ball to that. Then I'm going to grab, disable this, disable this, set this, because I've just submitted, set that to the visible, or the enabled to false, set the enabled on this to true. All right, let's take it for a spin and see if we've got it to work. Hopefully now it makes a little bit more sense that now if I go back into my blocks editor and I disable, or collapse I should say, my submit button, now you can kind of see what's happening with this one here. All right, so go back to here and hopefully now it'll work. So I'm going to ask a question. Will I be famous? And I should not only get an answer, but I should hear the ta-da. You're hot. I don't know exactly what that means as far as that goes. All right, it's showing false here. I'm not sure why. I'll have to get rid of that. But I reset, and this is back, so the word false is in here. Again, I'll have to fix that. So I can come in here now. Will I ever inherit $1 million? Cannot tell now. Well, that's better than no. And I can reset. So it appears to be working. All right. I'm going to look on my and see what this is in here in my reset. That looks correct. I'm trying to figure out why I'm getting the word false in there. All right. So let's collapse the block. Let's bring up our submit. See if we've got the word false just kind of lying around there any place. Whoops. Don't want to do that. False, 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 true. Yeah, that all looks good. Not sure why I'm getting that, but ideally, what you've learned from this short, crisp, little example was how you can actually create your own app. Okay, it's not perfect. I've just proven that to you. I'm wondering if somehow, some way in here, in my reset, but I did not see that. So I'll have to look and see why that's happening. But we now have pretty much a fully functional Magic8Ball application. And that was the idea. That's what I wanted to show you in this. So when I come back, I'm going to go into Chapter 12, which is on robots. Again, I do not have a robot, never worked with robots, so I'm going to talk around it more than I'm going to talk about it. But I'll be back with that lecture set of lectures shortly.